What's up, everybody, and welcome to our first live stream. I want to say happy Halloween to everyone. I hope you all have a great one while you're there. Don't forget to like and don't forget to smash that like button, hit that notification bell. All right, welcome once again. So for today, we are talking about villains, right? It's the season. Tomorrow's Halloween. And we want to know all about these villains and the variant covers you can get from comic books that feature villains. So one of the things I want to talk about is exactly what is a variant. So a variant is a comic book that has a different cover. So the inside is exactly the same, but an artist has decided to do something a little different with the variant. And variants are at a different price. So for example, a comic shop has to order a certain amount of regular covers to get a variant cover. So most recently, Amazing Spider-Man just got to issue number 875. So in order to get this special variant cover, a comic book shop had to order like 300 regular covers to get one of these variants. Now, because it's so rare, the comic shop has to set the price. So it's up to the comic shop to determine how much they want to charge for the variants. And the higher the price, the rarer the variant are, the harder it is to get. So everyone wants to grab one. So I got a question for you. Do you think variant covers are worth it? So we'll go through a few of them today and check out, and then we'll come back again later and we can just check in, make sure you hit the comment below to let me know if you feel that variant covers are worth it. All right, jumping right in with my first villain cover. This is Spawn. All right, it's a character made from Image Comics. All right. So I love Spawn. He is more of an anti-hero than a villain. So Spawn, his name is Al Simmons. He was a guy working for the military, and he died a horrible death. And he was able to come back. So he went to hell, basically. And when he got there, the version of the devil, his name is Malbolgia in the comics, decided to tell him that, I will send you back if you become my minion. So he kind of agrees to this and comes back to Earth as Hellspawn. And his job is actually to make sure he prepares the world to open up this portal to let all the minions come. But when he comes back, he kind of loses his memory. So he's like spends a lot of time figuring out who he is, what his powers are, and ultimately decides to take down Malbolgia. So it's a good series. Check it out. Still running, and this is called Spawn, one of my first anti-heroes. All right. And I want to have you check in the comments below. So what do you got to say? What do you think, about some anti-heroes versus villains? Because that's been a real popular thing lately. A lot of anti-heroes have come out to be on top, and people want to investigate and look a little bit more into them. All right. Yeah, I think you're right. Get some comments below. Hey, what's going on, Cynthia? If you are a true collector, you are going to want those variants. Yeah, I know I search for them far and wide, and I know I really like to have them. And it's like that little one-up, that special thing that I have that maybe not everybody else had a chance to get. All right. Let's go to the next villain in my series. And I forgot to mention this in the beginning. I'm sorry, I'm rushing through this. I'm so excited for the first live stream, just kind of rushing through. All these books are from the ones I have in my personal collection. So I'll be digging in the crates, finding all my good villain covers and variants to share with you all personally. You can only get this here on Fiction Ink Flow. I don't know if anybody else is going to be able to challenge me with the amount of variants I have. All right. So second villain, one of my favorites from the DC universe is Bane. All right, check it out. There's my Bane cover there. All right, for those of you who don't know, Bane is a character we have not really found his true identity yet. He wears this mask. All we know is he comes from a place called Santa Prisca, and he injects himself with this formula called Venom, and it gives him an immense amount of strength, right? So he goes around taking out the Batman, fighting. He's kind of like a big boss guy. He does a lot of deals that's kind of shady and underground, but he is known for breaking the bat. When his debut premiere, he was hunting down Batman in Gotham, and he finally caught up to him when they were going to blows. And Batman's trying his best, but he finally caught him, and he broke Batman's back. So over his knee, just cracked it, right? And that's a very memorable issue and a very memorable time to go on to look at and check it out. And it's been a very popular one ever since. Right? There have been many different versions of him. And in the most recent books, Bane actually died. And that there's another person who's taking over. There's this lady who's taking over, and she's the new Bane. So he's a very popular character, and a lot of people are interested in him. I want to stop and say hi to Jamie. Thanks for joining us on the stream. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Much love. All right. Moving on to another villain that I really like is Bullseye from Daredevil. Bullseye is one of my absolute favorite villains. Ask why. Bullseye has a special ability. His gift is perfect marksmanship. So he can take anything and it can become a weapon in his hands. Bullseye developed his abilities as a child. He started off when he was playing baseball, and he was like throwing the ball so accurately, and he actually hit someone and like knocked him out. And he kind of realized he had something different everybody else didn't have. So he kind of grew up in a challenging home, a lot of issues going on. And so he decided to use his gifts to become an assassin. So he goes head to head with Daredevil pretty often. Daredevil is known as the man without fear. So he's up for anything. And he has this radar sense. Daredevil is actually blind. So he has the ability to see things in this radar sense sound. So Bullseye is like always trying to hurt him because he can kind of predict when something's coming. And Bullseye is always like, I never miss a target. And Daredevil was the first person to ever make him miss. So that's why he kind of got this passionate thing to take out Daredevil. All right. All right. Moving right along to a character that you have probably seen if you have access to Disney Plus or if you watch any of the MCU movies is Loki, one of the most mischievous villains. And this is a special variant Loki cover. It is Loki holding Mjolnir, which is Thor's hammer. So he's like tossing it up. So in this series, Loki actually got to possess Thor's hammer for a while. Thor became unworthy, and Loki actually became worthy enough to hold it for a time period. So in this particular series, Loki just decided to erase his ledger. So Asgard was destroyed, and all the gods got to kind of rechange themselves or reform themselves. So one thing Loki did was that he said he didn't want to be the god of mischief anymore. He wanted to do something good. So when he talked to the higher ups, the face, if you will, they basically told him they've struck a deal. For every good deed he does, it will cross out one of his bad deeds in like the book of ledger of Loki's like mischievous events. So he decided to like, I'm going to go with this. But of course, Loki always has a plan. So he did do some good deeds, but he also had some other things he was trying to do. I don't want to spoil it for you in case you want to read it. But as we all know, Loki is ultimately a bad guy. He ultimately has his own agenda, and he surely came up with that plan in his limited series. All right. Once again, I want you to leave some comments below. Let me know if you're watching this on a replay. What do you think about variants? What do you think about villains and anti-heroes? Should they get more of the spotlight than the heroes do sometimes? I think that would be a great idea. All right. Next one is an indie book, and you may know this from the show, The Walking Dead. So in this cover, I have Michonne, who is like one of the big stars, and then she plays as Okoye in the Black Panther movie. But this is Michonne and her two zombie travelers. I thought this was a really interesting idea that she had to be able to survive the zombie apocalypse, having these two travelers with her all the time, and she can get through the zombies without them attacking her. So fun fact and spoiler, the two zombies that are with her are actually related to her. I won't tell you in what way, I want to ruin all the, but they are connected to her. And in The Walking Dead, the characters that you see are not really the villains, it's the zombies. Right? So the zombies are the main villains, but occasionally you will see some people that are still human that are big time villains. Because in this society, you got people who have resulted to doing some of the worst things in order to survive. So people who were like just normal and nice everyday people are now the ones who are like bossing others. So for those of you who know the show, one of the main characters you may have heard of is Negan. And if you know the show or have read the books, you know Negan is one of the worst villains there is in the Walking Dead series. All right. And believe it or not, they had a book come out that kind of explained his background a little bit. Negan used to be a gym teacher. So like out of all things, when he was in the regular world, he was a gym teacher. And I guess you kind of get a little spillover of how he was kind of very like alpha male, very authoritative, how that came to him kind of taking charge in the Walking Dead universe. Fun fact and a spoiler, he had a wife, and his wife died of cancer. And I think that's what totally broke him, because when he was in the regular world before the zombies ever came about, once again, he's this big PE coach, kind of alpha male guy, but he cheated on his wife. And I think when she died, he was like, he kind of regretted it, but he decided to just kind of totally flip because he did her so wrong. He decided to like take charge and I'm going to make a better world, but under his way and his rule. All right. Next is a classic Marvel villain who is just a big leader. He has a big ego, and he takes out a lot of time with the Fantastic Four, which is my main man right here, Dr. Doom. He is one of the most egotistical and maniacal villains there is. His hubris goes far, right? He thinks nobody can beat him. He's the best there is. And he just like he has all these calculating plans to take out everything and to rule the world. Dr. Doom is actually the leader of his own country called Latveria. And so Dr. Doom came to America to study science, and he ended up working with Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards. And so they were working on this formula together to go into space travel, and Doom thought he could perfect it more. And so, him and Reed were always competing. They were the top two in their university. And so Doom just thought he was better, he was smarter, but he kind of changed the formula a little bit, and he had his accident. We all know the Fantastic Four went out into space, got hit with cosmic rays, and it changed them to what we know of today. Doom also tried to like recreate that and kind of damage his body, and this is why he wears this metal suit. All right, but Doom tries to blend his history of being a gypsy, so he has magic blended with the science. So that's why he's trying to take over. He's trying to make sure everything works for him and his order. All right. I would say there's a couple of people that came in the chat. I want to stop and say, what's up, Jacob? Thank you for coming in, checking us out. Appreciate you. All right. Next is a character you may have seen in the Black Widow movie. One of my favorite characters to see is Taskmaster. All right. Taskmaster is my guy, right? Because of what he has the ability to do. Taskmaster can mimic anything he sees, right? So when you look at the movie, they kind of did my boy a little bit of injustice. I was totally fine with the gender swapping. That wasn't a problem for me. What I had a problem with how they had Taskmaster use his abilities. They kind of had a really messed up ending and the explanation for why Taskmaster gets to do what he can do. And it kind of was a letdown to the character in the book. So once again, Taskmaster can look at anything someone does and mimic it to a T. So getting Cap's shield, he can throw it just like him. Using Black Widow's combat skills, mimicking sword play from anybody. And there's a really great Taskmaster limited series, came out in the early 2000s, and it's one of my favorites, and I don't have it with me here, but I really love it because Taskmaster got captured. I'm like, how's he going to escape? What is he going to do? And he finally watched some videos of like Houdini, an escape artist, and he got back out. And he wanted to come back and get revenge. So these people were like moving really quickly. He couldn't deal with them. They were beating them up. So like, what can I do to kind of combat them? Their style is so different. So actually Taskmaster watched The Matrix. He watched the Matrix trilogy. And he, how, like for those of you who watched it, how Neo moves like in this really like awesome way and moving all fast and stuff. Like you see multiple hands and arms, like kind of like an anime thing. He was like, I'm going to do that. Like I may hurt myself, but that's what I'm going to do. And he went back and took out the whole crew. He broke his arm and leg and like I think several ribs because he was moving so fast, which a human body should not be able to, but he took care of all of them. And for that reason, Taskmaster is like my favorite one. All right. I want to go back down in the chat. Hey, what's up, Tokyo Disney Dad? Thank you for coming out. Yeah, Taskmaster was definitely better in the comics. I really think so. Like, you want to get some Taskmaster stuff, look at those books because he really got it going on in the books. All right. What's up, Zach? I see you there with Math Boredom. Thanks for coming in, checking in. Appreciate it. You may know Zach. We do sometimes some videos together. Check out some of my previous ones. We started off together with graphic reviews. So go ahead and check them out as well. All right. Moving on to the next one is a series of Batman villains from his Rogue Gallery. So in this particular one, I got the Riddler, I got Joker, I got Penguin, Catwoman. These are like, and Bane. These are like your standard Batman villains. And in this particular book, this is called Batman Secret Files. You know, Batman never does nothing unprepared. He has a whole case file on all these villains and their attributes and how to take them out. All right. So this book kind of goes over that. All right. Don't forget to smash that like button. Thank you. And in this book, he kind of just goes into detail on each character and how he's like gone up against them, what he's done to win, and what's messed him up. So if you really want to know how Batman deals with some of his villains and how he kind of keeps winning, you need to look and check for this Batman Secret Files number 1. Or number 2, I'm sorry, issue 2. All right. Thank you. All right, I want to move on again. I know once again I'm excited. First stream, happy Halloween. Just kind of keep it going, trying to keep it live as possible. All right, I got to go with the best Batman villain out there. So real quick, I want to pause. What do you think? Who do you think is the top Batman villain? Let me see it in the chat. What do you think the top Batman villain would be, or in your opinion? All right. See a couple in there. All right. Well, I think overall, this is the number 1 Batman villain. I think the number 1 villain, period. And I see Jacob got it. A lot of other people got it. Yes, it is my main man, the Joker. Right? It gets no better than the Joker. Why? Well, Joker doesn't have any superpowers, and he constantly challenges Batman. He knows Batman won't kill him. And I think that's one of his advantages. Like, he just pushes at him and he won't give up, right? And he's willing to do anything. He's, impulsive. He's creative. He's crazy. He will kill his own henchmen, and it's sometimes you think, if you remember from the Dark Knight movie, right? When Joker kind of robbed the bank in that opening scene, that was like one of the best scenes in a superhero movie at the time. And he had this big pile of money. He had called all the bosses together. He was like, well, what do you want to do? How you want us to work for you? And he just burned all the money. He was like, I'm not in it for this. I'm in it for chaos. Like, there's too much order in this world. Like, it needs to have a little chaos. People are living a lie. Like, the mask are a costume. It's not who you really are. And I think that's why he kind of gets at Batman. He was like, you're not being your true self. And even Batman knows that, because he lives this duality, right? As Bruce Wayne and Batman. And he's even said, like, in his head, he doesn't call himself Bruce. He calls himself Batman. That's who he thinks he really is. But having to live this dual life is why he can never push himself all the way. All right. And I got to go with this super rare variant cover now. Now, this one is a hard one to find. Okay. This is Joker, Catwoman, Poison Ivy. And for those of you who know, Batman and Superman both have sons. And they're in a school setting. And the reason why this variant is such a rare one, because if you know that most comic book covers have the title, maybe have the little barcode with the price guide. So this is the cover that no one has put anything on. So the artist just made the cover. This is what they send to the companies before they get printed. So when you have it's called a virgin cover. When you have a virgin cover, it can triple or quadruple in price value alone because nothing has been put on it. All right. So you can see we got Joker in the middle. He's like the principal, like the kid's in trouble. You got Catwoman and Poison Ivy as the teachers. You got a little poster of Harley in the back. And Robin and Superboy are tied up. And it's like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? All right. Like, you got in trouble. But if you notice a little closely on the wall with the alphabet, there's a little hidden message here. I won't say what it is, but it's a hidden message. All right. But this is my version cover of this, and I had to get this at Comic-Con. I couldn't even find this in the shops. It was totally sold out everywhere I went. I found it at Comic-Con. All right. Thank you. And going right along with that Batman train, so I got to talk a little bit about Harley Quinn. She's gained extra popularity from the movies and TV shows and the animated versions. So for those of you who don't know, Harley Quinn actually started off as an animated character. She was not in the comic books first. You all remember that 90s Batman animated series, which was one of the best cartoons at the time? She came from there. So the popularity of her in that cartoon decided DC was like, we got to put this character into the comic books, because it's like been nowhere. All All right. So they used her. And most recently, Harley and Joker kind of got into that big fight. And they actually broke up. She was tired of dealing with him, tired of his mess. She constantly running back to him. And she just kind of like, you know what? I've matured, believe it or not, as crazy as Harley is. She's like, I've kind of matured. I'm kind of tired of him now. For those of you who don't know, Harley started off as a therapist in Arkham Asylum, and she was counseling the Joker. And she kind of developed this like passionate relationship and kind of fell for him. And so they broke up now. And out of all people, she decided to join the Bat family. So she's actually working with Batman now. She's still a little crazy, still doing her thing. Batman is like, you can't kill, but she does take it there. She like hurts arms and breaks people, and she's doing her thing. But Joker has a new boo, right? It's a new girl. Her name is Punchline. And Punchline is this girl who like was obsessed with Joker too. She started like paying attention to him when she was in college. And she was already kind of a psychopath. I think she poisoned her professor at school and like hurt a lot of people in her class. And she idolized the Joker. And so, you know, and she developed, and she's smart because she developed her own version of the Joker toxic gas formula. And that's when Joker like, ooh, okay, you're pretty good. I think I can roll with you. So I started hanging out. But I got a special variant connecting cover. Now, both issues have the same information inside. And that's the thing with all the variants. As I said before, all the insides are the same. But this is a connecting cover of Harley Quinn versus Punchline. Okay. Try to get it so you can kind of see it. So Punchline has the dark brunette hair. Harley is her normal blonde, but they are fighting against each other on the cover. And this is a connecting variant. Connecting variants are harder to find because you got to get all the pieces in order to make the variant valuable. All right, there we go. So once again, I'm hoping coming to you, let you know these variants are kind of worth it. You know, depending if you're really ready to go hunting and do your thing, you can come up real easy with these variants. Now, the best thing to do, if you get a variant and you have a stack of them, and you go to a comic convention and you have the artist there, or if you have the writer to sign those books, they're just going to blow up in value. They're going to blow up 10 times because of the signature and its variant. All right. Going right along, moving on a little quick. We got our zombies now. Getting into the Marvel zombies. You can see I'm rocking the Marvel zombie shirt right here. I got Wasp, Hulk, Thor, Wolverine, Captain America, and Deadpool. All right. And we're going to get into the Marvel zombies. I know a lot of people have into them from the What If on Disney Plus, the zombie episode. Actually rewatched it again last night because I just want to kind of familiarize myself again. The series is really good. Now, what I loved about the covers, the Marvel Zombies covers took classic Marvel covers that already existed and just zombified them. So my first one, this one came out back in like the early 90s or like late 80s, early 90s, is thanks Zim for the t-shirts. Nah, I appreciate you. All right. This is when Peter Parker and Mary Jane got married. Now, I never got that issue, but I was able to get the zombified version of that issue. And that's a real disgusting wedding. All right. I love how Spider-Man is holding Mary Jane. She's there like he just took a big bite out of her. And got the villains, the Sinister Six kind of on the background, and some of the heroes kind of coming together because they actually fought out in this issue. All right. So check that out. Okay. Next, it's a book called Zombie Resurgence. And this book came out recently, and it's kind of like the zombie apocalypse was a different version of it because we had the first 5 issues that came out. Then they did Marvel Zombies 2, and they did Marvel Zombies Resurrection. So like they came back. All right. So the zombies were in a totally different universe. And what happened is that they kind of killed enough people. Like, well, what do we do next? We run out of food. So we need to go with somebody we can kind of go to a different world or different planets. And they sought out Galactus. All right. Galactus is this big, planet-sized creature who actually eats planets. And so he has this huge cosmic power. They kind of ascended on Galactus, tore him up, ate him up all the way. And because of that, now the zombies were able to travel to different planets and universes. All right, so this is the first cover to the Zombies Resurrection. You got a zombified Wolverine, Deadpool, and Captain America. All right, I would not want to go against any of them in any world, any kind of world. The zombified version would be just that much worse. In the Resurrection, though, what was different from the regular series, the Resurrection, they were able to keep their wits, if you will. So, you know, we have the typical zombies who are like kind of like, they don't know anything. They kind of just walking on impulse, just want to eat and consume. These kind of knew everything they knew from the past. So all of their abilities know how to use everything and was still hunting people down. All right. And you can see this is the zombie Galactus in the background of this cover. All right. So Spider-Man was one of the few people who had not gotten bit. It was like Spider-Man, Mr. Fantastic's son, Franklin Richards, and his daughter, Valeria Richards, and I believe 2 other people. That was like the only people left, and they were trying to find a cure. All right. Now, here's a little lesser-known character from the Marvel Universe who is a zombified version, is Submariner. Submariner is like DC's Aquaman. Now, I like Submariner a little bit better, only because Submariner, they kind of look the same. They kind of have similar powers. Both can breathe underwater and air. Submariner can actually fly. Aquaman can't. Aquaman has that ability to communicate with sea life. Submariner can do that too. But Submariner has minor control over the water as well. Several years ago, it was discovered that Submariner is actually a mutant. He's not just a person born with the powers. He's actually a mutant. So this is a zombified version of Submariner. Now, I don't think Aquaman wants that smoke. I don't think he can handle that. All right. I want to say what's up to Diz Life. What's up, June? Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Joining the stream. All right. Thank you. All right. We're going to keep rolling along. All right. This is, once again, this zombie verse. This is one of the last issues in that Resurrection. We got Spider-Man versus a zombified Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel. Okay. Yeah, Submariner has definitely been around for a while. He was in the cartoons back in the day. One of the things that made me stand out about Submariner was that he had these little wings on the back of his feet. And I was like, what's that for? That actually helps him fly. But it comes from Hermes, the Greek god, right? The Greek god, the messenger god. So that's where that little wings come from. So 2 people use that in the comic universe. You got Submariner with the wings on his feet, and you got the original Flash, Jay Garrett, with that helmet. He has the helmet of Mercury with the little wings on it. All right. And this is the last one from my Marvel Zombies collection. This is from Marvel Zombies 2, when you have a zombified Thor versus a zombified Silver Surfer. And I want you to take a really close look at the Bifrost Bridge, because it's not that nice rainbow bridge. It's like a bridge of fire. All right. And I love how Silver Surfer is actually holding his zombified head. And that zombified version of Thor is pretty gruesome. All right, thank you. Once again, a couple of questions. So, which covers have you enjoyed thus far? Go ahead and mention in the chat. Watching this on replay, go ahead and leave a comment below. Tell me which covers have you enjoyed thus far. All right, we are almost through. I got a couple of more really good ones for you, and then we'll be done with these villain variants for Halloween. All right. Now, this was going to take me back. This was, you're going to show your age if you let me know this. There used to be a classic, I don't even know what you want to call it. It's not a toy. It was like a collectible, right? Something called Garbage Pail Kids. If anybody in the chat remember Garbage Pail Kids, go ahead and throw that up there. So for those of you who don't know, there was these toys that were really hot in the 1980s called Cabbage Patch Kids. Everybody wanted them. And people were actually, this was the first time I think the news would show people fighting for toys, like during Christmas time. People were like, that was the hottest thing to get. So this company, which I don't even know who they were, decided to make fun of the Cabbage Patch Kids. And they made these things called Garbage Pail Kids. So they were the same look, but they were like gross versions of Cabbage Patch Kids. Like you had kids blowing their nose, throwing up, you know, popping pimples, you know, all kind of gross stuff. But As kids, I loved it. It was like it was the big thing to get. It was a pack of cards, came with a little hard stick of gum that was just the nastiest thing in the world. But those cards was like 6, I think, in a pack, and they were like about 25 cents. And I used to love hunting them down, trying to collect all those different cards. All right. Yeah, Jude, I remember that. That was what a thing back in the day. So the cards were actually stickers. You can peel off the sticker if you wanted to and put them on something. But I like to keep the card. I want to kind of, as you can see, I was always a collector, even back in the day when I was a kid. So this is a zombified Deadpool in a Garbage Pail Kid cover. This is a variant. So we got that like little sticker perforated part right around there. You can kind of look like it can peel off. It actually does it, but they modeled it off like that. And the really gross looking Deadpool says trick or treat. And it has this name, Reckless Wade, because their names always like, match. They were always kind of like, rhymey names. Oh, hey, what's going on, Rachel? Appreciate you joining the chat. All right, so this is the Reckless Wade Garbage Pail Kid cover, the variant for this one here. And it kind of just fits with Deadpool being a zombie anyway because of his abilities, right? He can regenerate anything. Little fun fact for those who don't know, Deadpool actually, his natural ability is kind of like just like a hyper marksmanship, but he had cancer. And so when he joined this group called Weapon X, they experimented on him. And for those of you who don't know, Weapon X was also the people who experimented on Wolverine. So they kept some of his healing factor and they injected it into Wade Wilson. And when they injected it into him, because he had cancer, it did cure him for a moment, but his cancer was like at stage 4 or 5. So it kept growing. So basically his body is always dying and healing. He is constantly in pain. And I think that's one of the reasons why he jokes so much, because his body is constantly dying. And that's why he kind of has this disgusting look underneath. He doesn't look perfect because his body is an entire cancer that's kind of come outward. All right. Now, yeah, it does look like a trash can, Tim. Thanks, Tokyo Dad. All right, so that was Marvel's version, right? So DC said, look, we got to get in on this game. Marvel running everywhere with these zombies. We got to do something. We falling behind. So DC decided to do their own thing called Deceased. And Deceased was the zombie version of DC characters. Now, this storyline was pretty deep, and I really enjoyed it. So in the Deceased universe, what happened was that there's a world called Apocalypse. That's where the character Darkseid comes from. And if you saw the Justice League movie or the second one, which was a lot better if you ask me, on HBO Max, the Snyder Cut, these things that were coming out were called parademons, right? These are also like warriors from Apocalypse. So Darkseid is a person always looking for something called there's a life equation and a death equation. He's looking for the death equation. And so he finally found it. And he kind of had a way to kind of take over the world and put it to our universe. So Cyborg from the Justice League and maybe from Teen Titans, you may know Cyborg there. Cyborg essentially has a mother box in his chest. And that's what kind of allows him to like shoot out things and change his body. It's also what the Justice League members use it's called their Zeta tube, where they teleport from their main base in space called the Watchtower to anywhere in the planet. They can get there real fast. So basically when Darkseid found the anti-life equation, he pumped it out through Cyborg. And unbeknownst to him, Cyborg spread this anti-life equation all over the planet. And so all these people started dying and turning into zombies. So it was really crazy. And so I'm going to show you some of the zombified covers because, of course, the big three got it. Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman all became zombified. And there was no turning back. Like they had to, the other heroes had to try to take them out the best they could and kill them because there was nothing else they can do. This is the zombified Batman. Now, once again, horrible looking. The good thing is that they didn't keep their brain. They kind of like lost all their smart, so they weren't able to use what they normally do. But, this dude was going crazy. And the worst part, spoiler alert, Robin had to kill him. It was like it broke his heart. Like out of all the people, the person he trained all his life, he had kind of broke off from Batman, became Nightwing, was doing his own thing, but he always loved him. He always looked at him as a father. had to take out Batman himself, and it broke him. He like after he killed him, he broke down and cried. So you definitely need to check out this series with the DCs. All right, thanks, Cindy. Yeah, that art is amazing. Yes, Joni was gangster. Yes, he did his thing. You could mess with him. So they actually decided to do a little bonus for us with the DCs. So like they came out around October. So they said, you know what? Aside from just doing these regular zombified or deceased covers, they decided to also do a couple of variants that were based off of scary movies. So this is issue 2 of Deceased. It's a zombified Batman. And it's a regular, Poison Ivy, because Poison Ivy was also one of the villains who survived, and the villains and the heroes had to work together in order to like save the world. So they had to kind of go underground, and Poison Ivy built this whole biodome so that everybody could survive. Now, I'm gonna show you this cover, and I'm gonna see my real true horror fans. What movie do you think this is from? Please throw it up in the chat. I'm gonna see who gets it first. What movie do you think this is from? I like that Zim saying that could be Ray's next costume, a zombified Wonder Woman. Yeah, she could pull that off for sure. All right, once again, and maybe in the beginning you can see what it says, may give you a little hint. If Ivy doesn't wake up screaming, she won't wake up at all. What movie, classic 80s horror movie is this from? Take a hint from that. Take also a hint from Batman's claws. All right, Tokyo Disney Dad, you got it. Yes, Nightmare on Elm Street. And June. Yes, Nightmare on Elm Street. That is it exactly. And I love this cover. All right. All right, and this is another one. This is kind of answering your question, Tokyo Disney Dad. You want to know what a zombified Wonder Woman would look like? All right, Ray, here you go. This is go ahead and take a screenshot. This is what you're going to have to do for next year. Yeah, she kind of buff, but yeah, and then she still had her lasso of truth. Now, I won't tell you how she used it, being a zombified version, but I gotta say, I've never seen her use a lasso this way before. All right, so that's the zombified Wonder Woman. Yeah, you definitely don't want to face her at any point in time. All right. Now, another person to me didn't need to be zombified because they already kind of crazy, kind of looking like this and kind of just not okay, period. We have the zombified Joker. Yes, it's the same artist for all the covers. Yes, it's the same artist. So I love this art. Yeah, this is a zombified Joker. Oh yeah, now I don't know. They did make a couple of zombified DCs or DC's characters into action figures. You do want to check some of those out because they are pretty nice to have if you're an action figure collector. All right, which I used to be. I don't get them as much anymore. It's harder to find. All right, and the last one. This one is probably one of the best interpretations of a zombified character. It's a zombified Harley Quinn. I just love the look of her and the way she's kind of expressing herself in this cover. And this one's kind of really scary. Yeah, I mean, those eyes is like just a crazy thing. Like bloodshot, just she clawed her eyes and she clawed her face, if you can see that. Like she literally clawed herself into her skin. So, you know, that's part of her crazy, right? This just matches who she really is. All right. Yeah, I know some people are like, whoa, it's kind of gross. Yeah, it is a good one. It's a good one. Yep. All right, don't forget to subscribe as well. All right, we are almost done. Almost done. All right, this is another deceased one, last one. All right. And this is a zombified Catwoman. So Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy kind of keeping a girl. They didn't want to lose her. They kept her around when she became infected. But they kind of kept her as a pet. And they were trying to use her to experiment on to try to help find a cure for the anti-life equation. So this is a zombified Catwoman with Harley and Poison Ivy as the keepers. As you can see, she got the chain around her neck. You know, they really kept her going. What's up, Black Panther? Welcome to the stream. Appreciate you for joining in. All right. Okay, now going to move along real quickly. One character that's been popular lately is Venom, right? You got Venom movie, you got Venom Part 2 that came out, Let There Be Carnage. For those of you who haven't seen it, you definitely need to check it out. If for nothing else, for that end scene after the credits. That end scene was everything. I can't say nothing about it because I don't want to give it away. But the end scene made up for the stuff I didn't like about Venom 1 and the stuff in Venom 2. That whole end scene made everything worth it. So you've got to check it out if you have not seen it. But here are my Venomized covers. I'm going to grab them, so give me a second. All right. So this is a super special collector's variant. So this variant was actually put on by one specific comic book shop. They advertised it, and it's called, sorry, let me just look at it real quick, Alamo City. It was a Comic-Con exclusive. So sometimes this is where you got to kind of get crazy with the variants. Sometimes people will make an exclusive cover just to sell at Comic-Con. Once again, they won't sell it anywhere else, and that makes it even more valuable because it's not in a local store. You can't pre-order it. You can only get it if you go to Comic-Con. So I was fortunate enough I didn't go, but I knew someone who was going, and I had them purchase it for me and mail it to me. So this is Venom issue 150. I'm sorry. Is it worth the watch? Yes, Venom 2, I would say it's worth the watch for this life. Yes, make sure you definitely watch 2. You don't have to have seen 1, but it's a must watch for sure. Just to see that end scene. The end scene will blow you away, and I'm telling you, it's like nothing I was expected, nothing I had hoped for, and it just took everything away. All right. This cover was, once again, a special one, and it's kind of like Eddie Brock is walking into the Venom suit, and he's like on a red carpet, but the carpet is actually Venom's tongue. So check it out. It's like he is finally submitting himself. Like, you know what? I can't resist anymore. I'm going to go ahead and say, you know what? Yes, we are one. I tried to get rid of you, but we are together. Hey, what's going on, PC? Welcome to the chat. Welcome, George. What's up, everybody? All my DS Life family joining in. Appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell. All right. Now, this is that was issue 150. This is issue 200. So they kind of changed the history of Venom a little bit, and they kind of went back and said that symbiote wasn't the only one, right? There's a whole planet of symbiotes, and it came from this one person called Cole, and Cole was like the symbiote king. And so Venom went up against the symbiote king and actually defeated him. So now Venom controls all the symbiotes that are around. They did the special anniversary cover. And the reason why it's so special, because in issue 700 of Amazing Spider-Man, they did the same thing. So they had the spider symbol that's on Spider-Man's chest, and it was made up of all different Spider-Man, except the white in the inside was made from Venom. So in this Venom issue, they did the reverse. They had Venom symbol. All the outside of it is made up from multiple Venoms, but the white inside is made up from a couple of Spider-Mans. So as you can see, it's made up of several different versions of Venom and all of his appearances throughout his 200 issues. And you can see that white is straight up Spider-Man, all different versions of Spider-Man in there. All right. Once again, I'm bringing it to you that only Fiction Ink Flow can bring it to you. All right. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate you. Now, shout out to George. Right. And yes, it's all canon. Yes, it's all canon for Mad Boardroom. It sure is. They had totally changed the history. Fun fact, for the new Thor Love and Thunder movie, the main antagonist or villain is called Gore the God Killer. And so Gore actually had a sword that was from Cole. So like this all black sword that kind of took out everything. So there's a big connection between this Gore the God Killer and the symbiote planet and Cole the symbiote god. All right. This next one is called the Venom Verse. Now, this particular storyline was that symbiotes had infected people from different Marvel Earth, and everyone was getting turned into symbiotes. And I actually got this at my local comic shop, First Aid Comics. Shout out to them. And I took it to Comic-Con. The author was there who wrote the book, and I happened to have him sign it while I was there. So this is the Venom verse with some characters you may be familiar with that have become Venomized. We got Dr. Doom. We got a Punisher, Rocket, and my man Black Panther. And I love the Black Panther too. It's kind of slick. They're not gory or goofy. They kind of look real smooth in that. So yeah, George, a new Venom movie, it's kind of like the first one. It's a little better, but I tell you, that whole end scene makes it worth it. That end scene makes it totally worth it. And there's the author's signature right there. All right, there we go. All right. This is another connecting cover. So when characters get venomized, and I talked about this before on one of my other streams, that there was something even greater fighting off the symbiotes because they were killing them. It was something called the poison. And the poison was eating the venom symbiotes, and they were kind of taking over the characters. So the difference between the poisons and the venom suits can come off of people, right? They can be okay. The poison suit would consume them entirely and take over, and you couldn't get it off. So once you try to take it off, they would actually eat the character, and they would be just totally disintegrated. So this is the venoms versus the poisons, and there's a connecting cover. So you can see them poisons are kind of like white. They almost look like skulls, but you see all these symbiotes fighting together. All right. And my last big Venomized cover, I don't know, see if I can hold these up real quickly. So this was part of that Venom verse as well. And it's 3 connecting covers. And I had the artist sign these as well, who drew the cover. So that was really special for me. So he signed each of them in a different color. I'm sorry. So we got, this is first. I think it's this way. Try to get the third one in. I may not be able to hold it. But there's 3 covers that are connected. And connecting covers come out pretty regularly. I'll show them all individually one more time. They come out pretty often. So you have to look at when the books are coming out. And if you see that it says connecting cover in the variant, you need to tell your local comic shop, go ahead and order that for me. Order all the connecting covers. Because the thing about connecting covers, if you just have one part, it doesn't make it as valuable. All right. If you have all of them, the value goes up because it's like all big. And usually they turn those big connecting covers into one big art piece or a poster. All right. We are winding down. So once again, yeah, the art is dope as fire. Thanks, PC. It is really good. I'm going to hit these next covers pretty quick. All right. So we have a Venomized. You have any questions, please throw them out in the chat. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions about the covers, anything you've seen thus far, throw out some questions. I would love to respond to them. And don't forget, you're watching this on the replay, go ahead and leave a comment below. X-23 is a clone of Wolverine. All right. And they had a version of her Venomized. Now, once again, she's wild. Wolverine is wild. Going up against her in the Venomized version would be probably one of the worst things you ever did in your life. Okay. And I know we got a lot of people with, if you watch that What If, you always wondered about Doctor Strange, right? Like, what if he went bad? Well, that What If tells you that he went bad. But this is a Venomized version of Doctor Strange. So you can just imagine Doctor Strange studying the dark arts and just using all of that. Yeah, Zim, I appreciate. Yeah, he does look like an alien monster right about in this one. Yeah, straight up evil and alien. And the last one is a Venomized Deadpool. All All right, for those of you who know anything about Deadpool, hey, what's going on, Autumn? Appreciate you joining the chat. Deadpool loves chimichangas and tacos. So he hijacked a taco truck. So even though he's venomized, he's crazy, he still got his normal eating habits. All right. Now, these next couple of covers, and we're closing them out, is Marvel like, okay, we got enough of this venomized stuff. We need to give Carnage a little spotlight, right? So they carnarized some characters as well. So it wasn't a separate storyline, it was just cover. So this is a carnarized Fantastic Four. All right, we got the Thing, Invisible Woman, Human Torch, and Mr. Fantastic. All right. All right. Then they took some Avengers. This is from a classic Avengers cover where you had Captain America, Captain Marvel, and Black Panther. They had this pose on this cover, but they carnarized it with those same characters. So you got the Cap with the shield, you got Captain Marvel, and Black Panther. And I got one last one with the Carnage. This was the worst. So in the storyline in Amazing Spider-Man, you all know his classic Marvel villain, Green Goblin, right? They've been fighting for years. So what happened was that Green Goblin had kind of, he lost the Goblin serum. He was kind of just, Norman Osborn doing his thing. He was running actually like a prison. And so out of all things, this villain is running a prison now. What happened was that Cletus Cassidy got put in that prison. And he got out, but he left a little piece of the symbiote behind. That symbiote got onto Norman Osborn. And it brought out the remaining Goblin serum in his DNA. So you got a carnarized version of Green Goblin. And he called himself the Red Goblin. But what was even worse is that Green Goblin has a son named Harry Osborn, right? And Harry has a son. And so Green Goblin always despised Harry because he always wished that like Peter was his son. He was like, that's who I wish you were. Like, you're not my son. Like, I know Peter is better than you in every way. So Harry Osborn's son is kind of like Peter. He's smart. He kind of does all these things. So the Red Goblin went to take him and turn him into this carnarized version. And this is the Red Goblin and his grandson. And as you can say, it said, welcome, kiddo, to the family business. And he is like geeked out. So this was one of the worst things the Green Goblin has done because he got the carnarized suit. And this was a whole story arc. This was a really good story arc. Okay. And now we are coming to the finale, everybody. So once again, thanks for joining the stream. It's Halloween. Let's get to these last finale comic variant covers. All right. So these are my alternative characters. Right, so they took some covers. They didn't do anything with the storyline. They just decided, the artists decided, let's do some different versions of our characters on the cover. That's it. But some of these, I think, should have been actual storylines. So the first one is, this was part of a storyline. It was called Batman Metal. There was this metal that was discovered on this planet that was affecting people and changing them. So the main antagonist in this universe was Batman. So it was almost like a what if. So it's like, what if Batman had taken out different members of the Justice League and kind of taken on their powers? So one of the obvious choices, who's not a member, was what if Batman had taken out Joker? Like he finally killed him. So in this particular issue, Batman went head to head with Joker. They got into it. He was tired. He was like, you know what? There's no other choice. I got to kill you. And in doing so, the Joker's body released the toxins. He planned it though. Like if he died, his body released these toxins and they infected Bruce. And so he was like, what's going on? And he was like, I'm infected. So he called all the Bat family together. And he was like, I need you all to help me. And so they were in the Bat cave working with them, trying to figure this out. And he's like, you know what? It's going to take a while. Why don't you all go train for a little while I kind of figure out this last part of it? But while they were training, he locked them in. And they were like, what's going on? Like, Bruce, let us out. What you doing? And he starts laughing. He was like, that Joker's side was coming out. And he killed the entire Bat family. And he took on a new persona and a new name. So think about it. You got Batman with all his smarts, his detective skills, his weapons, everything, the Batcave, but the crazy, insane version of the Joker. And he called himself the Batman who laughs. Because as you know, Batman is kind of like, you know, real hard and rigid. He's always brooding and he never laughs. So he called himself the Batman and laughed. He found some kids and called them Robins. He infected them and he walks around with these Robins on chains. And they're like his little minions. So that is the Batman who laughed with his murder of Robins, because they're like crows, because they all go caw, caw all through the book. So he calls them his murder. Batman who laughs and his murder. This is like the worst version of Batman I had ever seen. All right. This alternative cover is a version of Spider-Man that I've never seen, and I really want them to make this into a book. All right. So, as you know, Marvel Universe also has vampires in it, and we got Blade. You know, we hope what's his name, Marshall Ali. We're going here. You know, he's going to be the new Blade, and I can't wait for that movie to come out. But this is like, what if Spider-Man was a vampire hunter? Mahershala Ali, my fault. So this is a variant cover. Spider-Man, and I would love to see this because Spider-Man going all out, like being violent, killing people, which you don't never see. I would love for them to make this book into like a whole series. This was only the cover. The inside has nothing to do with this, but this was a whole cover. Yeah, I know they delayed that Morbius movie. I don't know what's going on. I see that, June. Yeah, I don't know when they're gonna put that out because I haven't heard anything else about it since then. All right, now there's a character in Marvel called Hellstorm. All right, and I know they had a not successful Hulu series, and it's kind of like, you know, Hellstorm is the son of the devil, and he's a good guy though, which is kind of crazy. He's a good guy, all right. But this is Storm being affected by this, and it's like Storm Hell, and they call it Hellstorm. And I love her quote because she's like, "Villains, stand you back, for I command the rain above and the fire below." So imagine her with all her weather powers, as well as controlling things from hell. Right? So all the demons, the fire, everything. Once again, this is only a cover. This is not actually the issue, just a variant cover. So some of these covers are like, I wish they would turn these into real issues. And this one is perfect for Halloween. We got the Fantastic Four Trick or Treating. Right? This book just came out this week. So you can still catch this one on the shelf. This is not a hard one to find. This is actually a regular cover and not the variant. I love you got the Human Torch with his pumpkin head looking like jack-o'-lantern. We got the Invisible Woman just showing everybody all her business with the bones. Right? Mr. Fantastic is stretching all over the place looking kind of scary. Now the Thing is the funniest one because all you got is a little mask on his face. Like, who else can you be? There's no other rock person around. Right? It's just a Thing. So that's kind of funny. So I think I call that my nice, friendly kid version. But they also did a variant cover of a horror version. So if you can imagine the Fantastic Four kind of looking like their powers broke them. So you got pieces of the Thing falling off and you can see the exposed muscle. You got the Invisible Woman like losing part. You can see her brain and all that brain matter. Mr. Fantastic just skin falling off because he can't keep his composure because he's just stretching. And the Human Torch is just burning up to death. All right. This is my X-Men one. We got Cyclops as the Headless Horseman for this cover. All right. Yeah, that's bad. We just got a few more. Thanks for joining this ride with me. A few more. All right. This is one of my favorite X-Men covers. It's the X-Men as classic movie monsters, like that Dark Universe that was supposed to come out, but I think Paramount and never did manifest anything. But we got Storm as a vampire or Dracula. We got Cyclops as Frankenstein. We got Wolverine as the Wolfman and Rogue as the Mummy. All right. Now this next book, it only came out a little while ago, about 3 weeks, and you probably can still find it if you really search hard. It's not a variant cover, but it's a special issue. So for those of you who watched WandaVision on Disney Plus, there's this book called The Dark Hole, and The Dark Hole was created by a demon called Chthon, and it was written in its own blood, and it was bound with skin. And people that read from The Dark Hole go crazy because, like, as you read from it, it possesses you, and it opens up a portal to the Dark Hole universe where the demon remains, and they can actually come out. But you try not to read from it because you only need it in extreme circumstances. So if you watch that WandaVision, spoiler alert, she was reading from it at the end of the series, so trying to kind of resurrect her children. But in this series, Dr. Doom got a hold of the Dark Hole, and he was trying to bring Chthon to Earth. And he read and went to the universe. And so when he came back, some good guys were trying to stop him. So it was Iron Man, Captain Marvel, Blade, Spider-Man, and Black Bolt and Wasp. And so Wanda got an alert that the Dark Hole was being used because of her powers. And so the only way to stop Dr. Doom is you had to read from the book too. But say don't read too much because you'll lose your mind, and don't read too little. So everybody read from it. They're like, there's no effects. But then it started to happen. They all went crazy. But the worst story, and this reads like a true horror story, is Iron Man. So what happened with him, he kind of went back into his past, like when he first escaped from the terrorists who had him when he was in his Iron Man suit. And he came back to with Pepper and everybody, and he was trying to take it off, but he couldn't. It was stuck to him. And so he tried to find a way to kind of get the suit to come off. So he kind of did this little thing. Pepper helped him, and he came up with these nanobites or nanotech that was able to remove the costume. So he took his gauntlet off, and his skin was all tore up. And they were like, what's going on? She was like, well, I don't know. It's like, I can't figure out what's happening to you. So he did some more research, and it appeared that the suit realized that the suit was a better protector than skin. So he couldn't really take it off. He was able to get a piece of it off. He got the helmet off and his chest plate and his arm, but everything else was stuck on him. So he was like, Pepper, I'm going to work with you. We're gonna figure this out so you can take the suit off. He's working for hours, shutting Pepper out now, just kind of by himself. And he put the suit back on. She was like, what's wrong with you? And he was like, well, the suit told me that it's better for me to just have this on. That's going to take care of me. And he tried to put everybody in the suit. Oh, I got to scoop a quick shout out to Regina. Thanks for joining the stream. Appreciate you. And he decided that everybody needs to be in a suit. Like he wanted to put everybody in the suit because it would protect the human race better than anything else. But at the same time, it was killing him. So only thing, it was eating away his bones, and only thing was left was goo. It was just everything was held together by just the suit. Like if he was to take the suit off, he would just be like a big bloody pulp of just meat and guts and everything. So here's the cover of Iron Man coming out of that suit. I know it was a long lead up, but trust me, it's worth the wait. As you can see, his skin is coming out of the suit. All right. And my last covers. Now, DC did something that nobody else has done yet. They did these 3D covers of villains. So they had all their regular books. You may have noticed, I see some people saying yuck and gross and no way in the chat. Yeah, and it gets worse because that's only the Iron Man version. You need to see the Blade one, came out last week. Then we got the Spider-Man one coming out, and not Ant-Man, I'm sorry, the Wasp and Black Bolt. So see what they look like. But DC did this thing where they took all of their books. There's a total of 52 DC books, and they turned them into 3D covers. They had all the villains take over. So These are a couple of them that I have from my collection. They are hard to find now because these came out several years ago. So the first one is Detective Comics, where Batman appears in, right? And it's a scarecrow on the cover. And I'm trying to get you to see that 3D effect. And I really like these covers. All right. Yeah, that's 52 books total. Yeah, like the new 52. Yeah, that's it, June. I think that's when it came out. All right. And this next one is Clayface. Thanks, Cynthia. Yeah, I love all these covers. They did a bunch of them. They did Reverse Flash, Joker, one of Batman's villains, Ventriloquist, Aquaman, Cyborg, Superman, everything. Now, the hardest one to find, I don't have it with me today, but I do have it. It's in my storage somewhere. I got to look for it. But it's a book called The Joker's Daughter. This is a real character. She is not his biological daughter, but it's actually Harvey Dent's, Two-Face's daughter, adopted daughter. So she called herself the Joker's daughter. There was an issue where the Joker was fighting Batman, and he kind of escaped, and he did the most insane thing he's ever done in any series I've seen. He went to this plastic surgeon, and it was like he wanted to taunt everybody. He actually had the plastic surgeon cut off his face, and he was holding it up. And he left it in Gotham Police Department. It's like a little joke, like, you know, that people like a box that Commissioner Gordon opened it up and freaked out. Like, what is that? And so they had it in the evidence box. Somebody stole it and kind of they were running with it, and they dropped it into the sewer. So her name is Dula Dent, which is the Joker's daughter. Harley Quinn, I'm sorry, Two-Face's biological adopted daughter. She found it, and she took it, and she got the face and stapled it to hers. And she was going around calling herself the Joker's daughter and wreaking havoc. And if you can imagine that 3D cover, because she's holding the face on it, she's just, and it's just going back and forth. And that's the most popular one to get if you can find it. All right. So once again, do you think it's worth now getting those variants? I got 3 quick tips to let you know the best way to get variants. The first tip is to go to your local comic book shop, and you get to get something called a pull box or a pull list, which you can order books a month in advance. Usually they will show you what books are coming out. So you tell them what books you want, and then you check it off on a list or email them. And then they'll pull those books when they come out. So you don't have to worry about going to the store when the comics drop to get them. So new comics come out usually every Wednesday, unless it's a holiday that interrupts it. So you don't have to worry about trying to run to the store to get it before they sell out. Real quick fact is when Wolverine issue number, well, not issue, but when they finally revealed Wolverine's origin, there was 6 issues. The first issue of that origin came out at my local comic shop at the time. They had 400 issues, 400 copies of that issue, because it was Wolverine's origin. They never knew it. They hadn't revealed it before. The store opened at 10 o'clock. By 11:30, all 400 had sold out. I was lucky that I had pre-ordered because I had one. And I was like, can I pre-order 2? They were like, absolutely not, because they knew that was going to sell. So just like the Joker's origin has not truly been revealed, they tried to do it, but it didn't really work. When that origin comes out, pre-order it if you want to know, because it's going to sell out. All right. All right. Are they expensive? It depends. So variant covers can range. So they can range anywhere from $5, which is kind of like the average. And the most expensive I've ever seen was $175 for one issue. That's the most expensive. So if you think about it like this, if you get that issue that's the most expensive and you take that to a convention and get it signed, you're talking about your value of that book is going to jump up super fast, super fast. I did see someone who once had the Amazing Spider-Man issue 700. That was kind of like the end of the run. Then they started over. This guy I know had Stan Lee's signature on it, the person who wrote the book and the person who drew the cover. So I'm sure their book, and I think they put it on eBay. That book was in the thousands. So, and that was like within months. not even years, within months. That book instantly went from $10 when the book came out to in the thousands. All right. And so my second tip, check various websites so you can see the images of the variant covers. Because sometimes I've seen some books come out with 13 variants. Like it's one issue, but there's 13 different covers. And like, I don't want to try to get all of them. It's too expensive. It's too many. And I may not like what they look like. So if you can go to some websites that will show you what the variants look like, do that. One of the ones I use is called Previews. Previews World. Previews World is pretty good at it. But sometimes things are so far in advance. Sometimes they go 2 months, 3 months, and they don't have the image ready for you yet. So it's kind of like a gamble. Like I can order the variant, but I don't know how it's going to look. So if you know an artist that you like, or you've seen, because they tell you the name of who's drew the cover. If you know an artist and like I like their work, then I would just order that one blindly because you know it's going to be good. Yeah, San Diego Comic-Con. That is my dream. I see that this life. Like I've never gone. That is the dream. I would love to go there. I'm hoping, when we get more subscribers and we get real popular, we get big, we taking over. I get the invite to go to San Diego Comic-Con. Then I know for sure Fiction Inc. Flow will be running things at that point. That's what I'm looking forward to. And my last tip is to order your variants at least 1 month in advance. Most comic book shops do that. They kind of give you that order list a month ahead of time so you know what book's coming out. So all you do is just have the title of the book. It'll tell you if they're variants, how many are coming out. Go ahead and check those off. All right. So that has been my villain variant covers for the month of October. So happy Halloween. And I want to ask you to tell me in chat, out of everything you saw today, which one was your favorite or some of their favorites? Go ahead and drop that in the comments below. I appreciate you all. And until next time, peace.